Hey everyone, Justin here from LitTube, back for another video with Phil. So Phil's been on the channel before, obviously, if you've seen some of the other videos, but I wanted to take this video from the perspective of looking into the fact that Phil has worked in a grocery store during the pandemic, and we want to get the inside scoop as to what's really going on at the grocery stores at a time like this. Global pandemic, COVID-19, and you know, there's a lot of well, I'll get to that later, but first I just want to introduce this Phil with the question of what was it like first like interviewing and getting hired at a grocery store at this time?
Well, my interview, I think, was March. I think it was a week after they put the lockdown down on DC or on Maryland. So it was like March 3rd or 27th or something. So it was pretty straightforward. I went to the this as yet to be named grocery store and met one of the managers, and they pretty much hired me on the spot. So that's what it was like at the end of March. Yeah, because they were
Was it like a difficult interview, or like what did you
no,
say
they
during the
asked
interview?
no for for uh for this guy, this manager. He was just like, "Here's what we're gonna pay you. Is it okay?" And that was that. It wasn't there was he asked me literally like three minutes of questions and then just put me through the system.
So I would assume at a time like this, there's a ton of people applying for jobs since because of the whole like people losing their jobs. But what made you think you got your foot in the door with this one?
Oh, well, see, my mom had told me that say I already said, well, too bad. Yeah, it was Safeway. Well, it was Safeway. Because we'll talk about that more later. That Safeway had put a Twitter tweet out about looking for people to hire, and my mom told me. So they were like trying to get people in like immediately, because if you recall, that's like when the panic. I mean, even I went out. I talked about this a few weeks ago. Like, I went out and panic bought food. So people were kind of panic buying food and the paper products. So they were like trying to find anybody as soon as possible. And I met someone there who did the same thing. He had lost his job, and that's why he applied there. And they hired him. I don't know how many other people at the Safeway I worked at they hired, but they hired a few. And it's not even that busy of a store.
So which department were you in?
So I was in the bakery. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
which I got in by accident. Where they were really looking for people to do stocking, but I got in the bakery because, all right, yeah, because yeah, they all right. Let me tell you, and if you even go into Twitter, I remember this. People went to the Safeway website to apply, and their website, it's a company called Albertsons, and their website for hiring people wasn't even working. It was literally the day. I know it was either the day of, but it was definitely the day after they put the tweet out. Their website to apply wasn't even working. So I went to the store the next day, and the manager was like, "Yeah, the website's not working right now. If it were, I would put you on the computer right now to apply." Yeah, that's what was going on in the beginning of me applying there.
Well, so did you give them a paper resume or?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't give him anything. They
Huh.
asked for my phone number, and I just filled out everything. I don't remember what the application stuff was on for Albert. The Albertsons own Safeway. I don't remember what all the stuff was I filled out. But yeah, I mean, I put down some of my employment history on there. Yeah, but they didn't talk to me about it at all because they're just trying to get people in there to do stuff.
So being in the bakery, I mean, were you dealing with less customers, or like not in as close proximity as maybe like the cashiers, or like how would you describe that part of it?
Oh yeah, well, so the thing with the bakery was because they were looking for somebody anyway, and I was trying to just get into the system on the Albertsons website. So that's why I applied for the bakery, which I kind of wanted to do anyway. So yeah, I didn't do any of the cashier stuff. But I learned how to package the different kind of bakery products. And I interacted with some customers a little bit, yeah, who were asking for like bread to be cut or looking for a certain item or stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah.
So the other thing I want to ask you about, and then I guess this is a little more of a philosophical question, but like as far as the, there's a lot of support right now for people that are on the front lines, and most notably healthcare workers. But I think a lot of people are grouping in, grocery store and other types of retail for necessity retail as being on the front lines. And there's a lot of support behind that, and a lot of encouragement going towards that. But I mean, what say you? I mean, as far as these people that are working at the grocery stores, do you think that's like well-deserved accolades, or how do you see it?
I would say to a degree, and I'm going to be very careful here because I'm not going to talk about anything that I know specifically. I can just go what's in the news. But there was someone, I think at Giant, an employee at Giant in PG County who got the virus and died about a month ago. And I know there's been other grocery stores. Actually, I know in an Albertsons store, I forget what, in an Albertsons store, I forget which state it was in, but someone got the virus. So people are definitely contracting it. Are they contracting it at the stores? That's another question. But people at the stores, at some grocery stores across the United States, definitely have the virus, and we know about the meat packing plants and all that. So deserving of recognition of risks, sure. Would I qualify it as deserving of an accolade? That I'm not so sure about.
I mean, how would you describe the work ethic of the people you're working with and
Well,
yourself?
that's another. If you say it again.
How would you describe the work ethic of the people that you worked with there, and also of your own self?
Well, that's another issue. Entirely, if you want to talk about ethic, because you've got the risks and then the ethic. I can unequivocally say that the culture I think just across the United States in general, but at these grocery stores is not set up to deal with what is going on and what's going to transpire in the future. Because these people who work at grocery stores are some of the laziest people I've ever met in my life. It's absolutely unreal. It's some of the laziest people I've ever met in my life in these grocery stores.
Are you referring to management or like the frontline workers, or what?
Everybody at these stores. Nobody wants to actually do anything. Yeah. When I was at because I was at two different stores. I'm not gonna say which ones they were, but I do live in the state of Maryland, as we know. Oh yeah, the most of these people. I'm not going to drop names. Not yet. If anybody out there who knows me is listening, yeah. I might spread this video around. I might. Yeah, I can. But no, I mean pretty much across the board at both these stores, the regular employees and the managers, they just don't want to do anything. It's quite interesting, and they've gotten away with it for so long that they're kind of like not used to having to do work. But you got people like standing around, people in departments that they don't really need to be on schedule, people taking longer breaks than they should be. Yeah, it's quite interesting, unfortunately.
Well, besides that, what have you really learned from this experience of working at a grocery store during a pandemic? Any life lessons?
American culture is trash. That's all I can tell you. You got lazy employees. We are still throwing, I'm sure I can say this, literally tons of food away. Like literally tons of food. I had to, in the dumpster out back, Yeah, I threw out cakes and like breads and stuff. People be throwing out like vegetables. Yeah. And I didn't do this, so I'd be explicit. You're not allowed to like take photographs of stuff. I actually had the employee handbook with me. Um and just so you got the attitude of you have people's attitude towards work, you have people's attitudes towards food, and then just I remember like talking to people about like I had a customer, because I talked to some customers, and the one lady was talking about how she was like putting all the stuff on her credit card and how like worried she was about her money. Yeah, I got to talk to a lot of customers, especially at the one store I was at, because the second store I was at, I worked constantly. I had no downtime whatsoever because I was in a very, very difficult situation. Um, so, and the other problem with these grocery stores is that when you're there working, you forget about what's going on outside of the store. So not only like when you shop there and when you work there, you're kind of like in a bubble because, you know, the world seems to be going on as normal, but you know it's really not, or at least when you're there, you should know it's really, really not. So it's a very it's definitely a kind of like unique environment in a way, especially when you're there for like a longer period of time. Yeah, I mean over like a course of a day instead of just going in and out to shop. Yeah, so
I mean,
that's
I'm surprised to hear you say that though, because I would think with everyone having to like wear a mask the entire workday, that wouldn't feel like the normal.
well, it's not about the mask, it's about the attitude or the understanding that, especially for employees, that like you're especially employees that have already been there. These people have been here for like weeks and months and years. So for them, it's like business as usual. They get up, they go to work, they go home. But I think people forget uh, that like in some ways, like the grocery store is becoming like a place for social life. Because that was kind of already happening at the Safeway I was at, where like some people would kind of like want to hang out there in the store or in the break room. I should say on the floor when I say in the store, like on the main floor in the break room, because you can't really hang out anywhere else. And the other thing going on where I was at is we have some homeless people who are starting to hang out there's like a little square outside, like with some benches and stuff. So yeah, the environment is definitely interesting, and it's definitely changing, and will continue to change.
Have you ever felt at any point working in a grocery store at the current point in time that, oh, like my life is in danger or I'm risking myself with this job, risking my health? Like, did you ever think about anything like that?
Um, yes. Um, and I have a specific reason why, but I'm not prepared yet to share what that specific reason is. But definitely, yes, there was an incident. Yes, there was an incident. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Phil, I'm not sure what else to ask right now. I feel like I had some other questions, but now
Yeah.
I can't remember. But we could perhaps revisit this topic at a later date if you want to get into more specifics about everything.
There's a good chance I will, as the weeks go on, with what goes on in my life and in the stores, because I brought this up to people. I mean, there's two big problems that we're about to face with the grocery. Well, there are many problems. The one problem is, if you've heard or others have heard, we're having a supply problem because they are they're just slaughtering animals and dumping milk across the United States. And someone else told me destroying vegetables because they've shut down the packaging plants and all that because of people getting the virus. And on top of that, I already mentioned the woman using her credit card. I mean, people are going to start running out of money. And these two issues are going to come back and alter the way in which these grocery stores are operated. And I was trying to get a lot of my coworkers and management to like open up their minds to this reality. But no one really wanted to listen, unfortunately. So, oh well.
Well, I mean, if people max out their credit cards buying groceries, is that the grocery store's problem or is it the credit card company?
It's both. It's both. Because what do you do when you can't max your credit card out anymore?
So you're saying people would just stop buying food from the grocery stores?
Exactly. I mean, if you look at what people buy, like people buy fancy stuff, and people are going to stop buying fancier foods.
Well, I think you referenced that before with
I did. Yeah,
you're talking about someone that you knew that was like buying seltzer waters when they could have just got tap water at home.
Exactly. It's gonna be stuff like that. And on top of that, but back to about the culture, you know, the one store I was at, I'm gonna tell you what I mean. We had these. This is kind of change the topic. But we have these cabinets where we keep the plastic containers to package the food, and you know, like half of the cabinets were broken. It took me 3 days to get a screwdriver and get some screws and like put the hinges for the cabinets up. We had a freezer. I think they finally fixed it because there was a guy who worked for like Red Baron Pizza. He was like, "I'm coming here to deliver you guys pizza, but your freezer's broken." And then there was some other stuff at the store that also broke down. So that's what I'm saying. Like between the supply and demand crises, which are going to manifest, and the poor attitude that the personnel and the management have towards doing work, I think in July, July is when we're going to start like actually seeing real manifestations of these issues I'm mentioning in the actual grocery stores, and I would not be surprised if some stores start to close.
One last question before we end this. Are there any positive takeaways for you from this experience you've had?
Well, I got a fair amount of money. I met a lot of people. I learned some new skills.
Such as?
Learning how you package food kind of in general, because it was something I had never like done before. And it is a skill. I'm telling you right now, it's like there's no such thing as what do they call it? What do they call it? Unskilled. Yeah, like I told people at the store, there's no such thing as unskilled labor. It's just that some labor has more skills than others. It's still a skill. Like it took me 3 or 4 weeks to learn how to like package the food and kind of match it to where it went on the shelf. So kind of learning that environment was definitely useful. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, we'll be doing more videos. Maybe we'll get you to open up a little bit more at some other point on the specifics of your
yeah. I'm gonna wait a little bit till I start putting people on blast. Because I got names, I got locations, and I got facts. But we're gonna wait because I got other stuff I'm taking care of right now anyway. So.
Okay, well, when the time is ripe, perhaps that expose will come out. But for now,
yeah.
Stay tuned, everybody. Like and subscribe to LitTube, and we'll catch you later.